All right, good evening, everybody. It's your boy Akeem, and welcome to the Pro Football Exclusive College Football Blog. I'm finally here to start off my previews for the 2014 college football year. Now, for today's blog, I'm here to talk about the ACC Conference. Now, the headline news starts off with Florida State. They finally broke the SEC streak of 7 straight national championships by winning the national championship last season, and hopefully Jimbo Fisher has a chance to do it again this year. Second headline news, we have a new team in the ACC Conference coming from the American Athletic Conference, the Louisville Cardinals, who had a good season last season, only one loss. Now, I think this is a decent team, but they lost a major player and quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater, but they do have a good receiver in Devontae Parker coming back for this season, and a new head coach and a familiar head coach, pretty much not a new head coach, but a familiar face, and Bobby Petrino. He was actually with Western Kentucky. He is actually now with the Louisville Cardinal, and I'm back with the Louisville Cardinals. Hopefully he can get them back into BCS presence and hopefully into a playoff at the end of the season. But without Teddy Bridgewater, I think he's going to struggle for the next couple of seasons. Now, I have to talk about some impact players for you guys. Start with Heisman winner last season, Jameis Winston, 440 touchdown passes last season, over 4,000 yards passing, 10 interceptions, and he does have 2 good targets headed back for this season, starting with the tight end position and a Mackey Award watch list player, and Nick O'Leary, who had over 500 yards receiving last season, and their leading target, and Rashad Green, he's back for this season. He has a good size, and I definitely think that Jameis Winston is going to look towards his direction this season. Second impact player, sticking with the offensive side, Duke Johnson out of the U. Now, yes, he is an impact player, 920 yards last season rushing, but he missed the final games due to an injury, and he's definitely a major focal point in that offense and their best offensive weapon. He's very important, and that's why I have him as my impact player. Third impact player, sticking with the offensive side, from Duke, Jameis Crowder. He's actually one of the most explosive, most versatile players headed towards this season in the entire nation. He had a great year, second in the ACC receiving with 1,360 yards receiving, 108 receptions, and he's also a return ace as a return specialist. Sticking with the Duke Blue Devils, another offensive player and lineman, Laken Tomlinson. I definitely had to call him out because he's actually on my watch list for the NFL. He's a great guard, first team All-ACC performer according to the coaches. Headed over to the defensive side, I had 3 impact players for you guys. Start from Clemson, Vic Beasley. Now, he is actually one of the nation's leading sack leaders last season with 13 sacks and 40 tackles. He is a monster player, a freak, and one of the scariest players headed back into ACC play this season. Next player, Anthony Harris, the safety out of Virginia. He actually led the nation last season with 8 interceptions. Now, I don't think he's going to duplicate that number this year, but he definitely has great ball skills. Sticking with another defensive back, Kendall Fuller, another Fuller from Virginia Tech. He's actually the brother of Kyle Fuller, who is now a San Diego Charger coming out of this year's NFL draft. Now, he was a major immediate impact player as a freshman with 59 tackles last season, and he was actually second in the ACC with 6 interceptions. He's definitely going to be a true leader in that defensive back area for the Hokies, and he was actually second team All-ACC performer as a freshman. Some breakout performers this season, some breakout players who I think is going to bust loose this year. Start from Florida State, Carlos Williams. Now, he had 8 yards per carry with 730 yards on rushing and 11 scores, and he was the backup to James Wilder and leading rusher Devontae Freeman. Both these 2 players are no longer with the team, so this is the season for Carlos Williams, and I think he could bust it loose. I think he even has an opportunity to have the rushing record in the season for the Florida State Seminoles. I think he's a great running back, good size and speed, and he definitely displayed that last season, helping the national championship Noles win that national championship. Second player, I mentioned him earlier today, Devontae Parker. He's one of my impact players. Now, he had under 1,000 yards receiving last season with 885 and 12 touchdowns, and he's definitely on my Biletnikoff watch list. And he's also a freak in the weight room. He actually squats 455 pounds. He bench pressed 225 pounds 17 times. He has more time to get stronger. He's a freak at 6'8", 6'3", 208 pounds. He's definitely going to be that leading offensive weapon for the Louisville Cardinals. I think he could be due for a breakout season. Hopefully, he has over 1,200 yards. I have projected this year. Sticking with another offensive player, another wide receiver, Sharon Peak out of Clemson. Now, he's actually one of Clemson's top recruits a couple of years ago, but when now Sammy Watkins no longer with the team, as well as Martavius Bryant, this is Peak's opportunity to be a leader in the receiving corps, and he's actually coming back from injury and from a torn ACL, so he's going to have to come back. I think he could be due for a great season. Going on the defensive side, Mario Edwards out of FSU, Florida State. Now, he's coming off a great game in that national championship against Auburn. He had 6 tackles and 1 sack, a big game. But I think he needs to step it up this year. He's going to have to be that big-time leader in the defensive line. Also sticking with Florida State, P.J. Williams. He's another defensive back from the Florida State nose. Now, because LaMarcus Joyner's no longer with the team, P.J. Williams is actually on a couple people's watch list for the Thorpe Award. Now, he had 31 tackles last season and 3 interceptions. Hopefully, he can step it up and be an All-American just like LaMarcus Joyner. Now, I have a couple of impact freshmen for you guys. Now, starting for Virginia, they have 2 of the top recruits headed towards the ACC conference this year as freshmen. Andrew Brown, the 5-star recruit at defensive tackle. Actually, they picked up 2 players from in-state and the state of Virginia. Andre Brown from Chesapeake, Virginia, the 5-star recruit, the number 5 recruit, and according to ESPN 300, this was a great player. Also, safety Quinn Badlin. Now, he's also a 5-star player. He plays with great range and great size at 6'2", 200 pounds. Another freshman for you guys at quarterback, one of the top dual threat quarterbacks, in fact, the best dual threat quarterback coming out of high school this past season, and Deshaun Watson playing for Clemson. He's a great player. He also played the defensive tackle position, but I think he's going to head at quarterback. He has good arm, and he also has great feet, and where he could use his wheels to escape from trouble, which is a great thing. Good mobility. Now, he's coming in as a true freshman, a decent arm. He has a lot of potential. And last but not least, Dalvin Cook, a running back coming for the Florida State Seminoles. Now, he reminds a lot of people like C.J. Spiller because of his speed. Once he sees a crease, he just goes. And just like C.J. Spiller, and he has a lot of potential, but he's definitely going to get carries behind Carlos Williams, who should be that starting tailback for the Noles this season. Now, I have a couple of impact games for you guys this season. I only have 5. Now, in this year, I'm not going to give you I'm not going to give you any non-conference games for my in-conference games previews. I'm going to give you that in a separate preview for big-time non-conference games across the country in college football. So I'm going to stick it within the ACC. Starting off with September 20th, Clemson at Florida State. Now, this game can definitely determine the Atlantic division of this conference of who will make it to the ACC championship. September 27th, Duke is going to be playing at the U at Miami. This could be determined who will win the Coastal Division. October 18th, Virginia is going to be playing at Duke. Now, the reason why I had to call out Virginia is because of the good recruits, and Virginia can even sleep this way and make it into the ACC championship. November 1st, UNC is going to be playing at Miami, another Coastal Division rivals. And last but not least, November 15th, FSU Florida State is going to be playing at the U. Now, this could be a preview of the ACC championship, but we will see. Now, I'm here to give you some, at the end of the season, some awards who I predict will win the awards. Coach of the Year, I'm going to start off with that. I'm going to go with Jimbo Fisher out of Florida State. Now, because he has such a good, favorable schedule, and because Florida State has so many weapons coming back this season, as well as great impact players, they're rebuilding a great program. Jimbo Fisher's doing an outstanding job replacing Bobby Bowden and rebuilding the Florida State Noles program, and even still having the return of Jameis Winston. I think he has an opportunity to go undefeated again and make it to the national championship. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going to actually go with Jamel Kamara for the Virginia Cavaliers. Now, he has great size and so much potential at the receiver position, and he has enough versatility to get some carries as a running back. He is 6'2", 210 pounds as a freshman, and with the leading receiver gone last season, Jake McPhee, who had only 395 yards receiving last season, leading the the Cavaliers. He's actually now a Florida Gator. Now, this is a great opportunity for Kamara to be a star immediately and make an immediate impact at the receiving corps for the Cavaliers. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with Chad Thomas for the U. He's a 5-star recruit, and he has great size and has a lot of potential, good length as well, and enough quickness to rush off the edge. I think he has a lot of potential, and he is a 5-star recruit. Now, last season, Tyreek McCoy actually led the Hurricanes with 4 sacks last season, and with just 4 sacks, they're going to desperately need a pass rusher, and Thomas has the opportunity to be a star as a true freshman. Offensive Player of the Year as well as the Player of the Year, I'm going to go with Jameis Winston out of Florida State. He won the Heisman last season, and I think he could be due for another great season, especially with Rashad Green as his leading target coming back. Defensive Player of the Year, now this was a major huge debate for me. I had to go with nominees. Jeremy Cash out of Duke, he had an outstanding year last season, 113 tackles to go along with 4 interceptions. I mentioned earlier Vic Beasley, who led the conference with 13 sacks. He's another nominee, as well as Denzel Perriman out of the U. Now, he's a dangerous player, a freak, and one of the most hard-hitting players entering this college season. And I think he could make that steal for Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm actually going to go with the steal with Denzel Perriman as the Defensive Player of the Year, or who I predict will win the Defensive Player of the Year. Because my prediction for the winner of the ACC Conference, I'm going to have to go with Florida State over Miami in the ACC Championship. I think Miami's going to get the edge off of Duke and pull off an upset enough to make it to the ACC Championship and possibly have a rematch against the Florida State Seminoles. So I'm going to have to go with Florida State representing the Atlantic and Miami representing the Coastal Division, and Florida State winning it all. So I'm going to have to go with the Noles winning the ACC Championship. Now, next I'm going to catch you guys will be on Friday, where I will give you my Big Ten preview. Thank you for watching today's vlog from Pro Football Exclusive. I'm your man, Keenan McCall. Be easy.